Hey guys, my name's Jason. Welcome back to the channel, or if it's your first time, welcome to the channel. I have a video today talking to you guys about some modifications that I would recommend to do to your vehicle or some stuff to carry with you this winter so that you are prepared for any type of snow or anything like that. The first thing that I'm actually going to be talking to you guys about is going to be at the front of the vehicle, and that is going to be good wiper blades. Now, in addition to this, I would also recommend, especially if you live somewhere where it snows a ton and they dump mag chloride or salt on the roads, then I would also recommend that you do maintain a pretty high level of washer fluid. Over here I have a -20, so I try to make sure that that is always topped off in my vehicle because, you know, especially if I'm going up snowboarding or if I'm going somewhere in the mountains, it's an absolute mess and it is a huge pain to sit there and just keep using the washer fluid. Pretty much something that you just cannot avoid. So you know, my first recommendation would be washer fluid as well as good windshield wipers. I have switched over to a new set of blades. You know, a lot of it is sort of that performance, but some of it is going to be a little bit of aesthetics. The reason that I went with the Mox one is because while the blades themselves are about 50 bucks, you know, that is a little bit maybe higher than average, but for about $5 you can actually replace the rubber pieces on them. So for $5 each, $10 every time you upgrade, that is going to be something that is over the long run going to actually be cheaper. It's made of a durable natural rubber that is going to be able to do 500,000 wipe cycles, basically a 12-month lifetime, and each blade is kind of unique because they are hydro dipped. So there's a topographic or topographic that is going to be hydro dipped in plastic, so each individual blade will look completely different from the other ones. These are basically made for all type of weather. Because I do live in some extreme conditions, I may actually see a little bit less life, but I think 99.9% of people will probably be able to get that 12 months. A really cool thing about this, again, like I said before, is this is a replaceable rubber. So for $5 you get a little strip and it will go in the blade. It'll just slide in, and that will be an easy replacement rather than having to replace the entire structure every single time you need to replace your windshield wipers. If you would like to go with the same ones, I'll drop a link below, or maybe I'll put a link up here somewhere for you guys to check that out. So another big one that I'm going to recommend for you guys is that you make sure to kind of keep up with the maintenance of your battery and just kind of check on the age of it. The last few weeks, maybe about 2 weeks ago, I did actually have to replace my battery on my 4Runner. So it was only like maybe 4 or 5 years old, and I was actually very surprised by that because I feel like usually you can get more life out of them. However, I had about 3 times in a row where the battery completely died, and luckily I did have a jump starter, but you know, at a certain point I kind of realized that something was actually wrong. So kind of just make sure there's a little date on your battery when they put it in, especially if you get yours from like Toyota or something like that. There is a nice little warranty that comes with it. So in very, very extreme weather, you know, even if you have the best battery out there, it still can be at great risk of kind of running out of juice. Batteries just don't do that well in cold conditions. You know, like my camera here, if I'm out filming like a winter camping video or something in very cold, those batteries last about, you know, half the time they would normally last. So that is why I always do carry a jump starter of some sort. Now, I went with the Goal Zero one, and I'll drop a link to the Spirit of 1876 website, which will have this. This isn't the only one I would recommend. I've heard really great things about NOCO and some other ones, and I will drop links below to everything I talk about in this video. You know, there will be Amazon links, and I'll drop some links to other companies that carry stuff like this. I really like this because it is a 10,000 milliamp hour battery pack. So, you know, if you're good on battery, your car's already running, and you just need to charge something, then you can do that. So I don't typically use this as a power bank, though. I try to keep this fully charged so that I can charge my battery. But this is maybe about $100, maybe. Some of the more expensive ones can go up to $300. So I would always keep a way of jumping my car by myself just in case I'm out there and no one's going to come and help me. So the next one I am going to recommend is going to be a nice set of floor mats. Now if you have a 4Runner like mine, and some other brands will have sort of that rubberized, you know, floor mat that comes with the vehicle. Now that is fine for most situations, but if you look at mine here on the floor, you'll see that it doesn't protect the outside edges, and it can still get a lot of stuff in there. You can see on the floor here that a lot of this looks like it could possibly be permanent, and I think I was a little too late on it, but it is not too late to make sure that it doesn't get worse. So I have these last fit ones here. Now these are custom fit to fit inside each of the vehicles. You know, you can go on the list and select down, and you can pick out your specific vehicle. I picked out the 4Runner. I have both the front and the second row as well. I didn't get rear ones or anything like that because I have drawers, and it's not a big issue for me if the drawers get wet compared to the stock carpet. So in the winter, it is much more likely that it's going to be snowing or, you know, even raining, anything like that. You know, I know that where I live, it snows so much, and then it gets muddy, it gets salty, it gets really nasty, and just getting in and out of the vehicle, you know, really going anywhere, even just running over to a drive-through, you can still walk through and track stuff onto your floor, and a lot of that stuff is pretty difficult to get out. Now we'll see how it goes. I'm probably going to have mine professionally detailed here in the next month or so. So especially for those winter months, I would recommend getting yourself a nice floor mat just to kind of keep the longevity of your vehicle. You know, you don't want to just like ruin the vehicle for no reason. Now I will drop a link below to the last fit vehicle specific floor mats. I have them for the 5th gen 4Runner. Very likely that they have floor mats for your specific vehicle, so you can check that out below. So another thing that is very important, especially if you live somewhere where the roads get very icy, you know, we've seen the last few years that it's even possible to get icy roads, icy conditions, even as far south as, you know, Texas. So this is definitely something that is really important for you guys, to get tires that are rated for the weather. Now you can get either a dedicated winter tire for your vehicle if you have, you know, sort of a smaller, cheaper tire. Now I have 305 7017s, which are 34 inches. They are very expensive, so I'm not going to go out and buy a dedicated tire for that. If you don't want to spend that extra money, you can get a tire that is maybe an all-terrain or something that is 3-peak rated. You want to get something that is able to push out the water, push out the ice, and get you some better traction on the snow. And that is not only for forward motion, that is also for stopping power, because you know, for me, I don't really have a big issue because I have 4-wheel drive. I can just pop it in 4-wheel drive. It's not a big issue for me getting going, but you know, there's really not much you can do to slow yourself down on ice. So having a tire that's rated for it is really important. So I will drop a link to a list of tires that are really good for, you know, snow, 3-peak ratings, and even some winter tires. I'll try to drop a big list down there so you guys can check it out for your vehicle. You know, just know your vehicle's tire size, whatever you're running, and you can just get a winter version of that. Now the next thing I would recommend is, this is a very, very obvious one, so I won't go too long on this, but getting yourself a nice scraper and bristle. Now, I think a lot of people have the wrong idea, and they believe that this bristle side right here is made for going on their paint, and that's not really the case, because this is a pretty harsh bristle here. This is more for scraping off the snow off your windshield and off your windows. If you want to get the snow off your paint, now I would actually recommend getting something with a lot softer of a bristle. I bring this just for that very case, and also because I can sweep out the back. But this is really good for actually scraping it off of where your paint is, or you can just get a nice glove and kind of swipe that away. And I couldn't find it for this video. I'm not really sure where I put it, but I have a really long one that I got at, I believe, Costco or Sam's Club. You can find them on Amazon, but they will be able to go pretty long so that you can scrape off the top of your vehicle as well. Now, something that is very important that I think that a lot of people think about but never just actually do in practice, and that is very good lighting. Now, I have an overbuilt vehicle for this. I have so many lights on my vehicle that I don't really have an issue, but I think a lot of people go with the whitest, brightest light and think that that is the best way to do it, whereas sure, a bright headlight with a white light is actually pretty good, but when it comes to fog light, I actually do recommend getting an amber light there. Now, I go with a pretty aggressive yellow on my fog lights, and usually that is a lot better for seeing. If you're running a white light in the snow, it's probably going to be fine, but especially with that fog light, we really do want to cut through that white snow, and a nice amber is a good way of doing that. But yeah, the yellow is going to be a nice way of cutting through that snow, that white bright snow, any fog, anything like that. That amberish color is going to just do a lot better. I have specifically gone with amber on all of my lights except for my top row, because I want to be able to have something in the snow. I even set up my ditch lights to be separate so that if I'm going down the highway, I can use the right one in the snow, get a little bit of that amber coverage without blinding oncoming traffic. So for headlights, I have upgraded to the GTR carbide headlights. I will drop a link below to those, and I will have a full video on that pretty soon if I haven't already dropped that. But I really like those headlights, and all of my lighting that is aftermarket is going to be diode dynamics. The next recommendation is going to be some sort of road flares. Now, in the winter, it is a lot more likely that you are going to slide off in a ditch or be somewhere in a situation where you need to be able to be seen. Just the other day, I was on the highway at night and I saw a broken down RV on the side of the road, a very old RV, and it had no lights, no flashing lights, and people were almost hitting it. So you can go out there and get those old school road flares where you just, it's got a flame on it, but I went with these. This is just some Amazon brand, but I really like it. It's called Hokina, and it's just like an LED flare. It can hang on top of your vehicle. They are also magnetic, all kinds of different ways, and you can just pop 2 of these, 3 of these on the back of your vehicle, 1 on the side, and that way people can see that possibly that you need help, or just really see your vehicle and not hit the back of it, causing even more damage to your vehicle. So the next one is for emergencies. This is going to be something that I always bring with me just because I have drawer systems. If you have like a regular everyday vehicle, it's not really that hard to bring a pair of gloves and a packable jacket. I like these down jackets because while this is a full size jacket, you can really get it down to a pretty small size. So the first thing your body's going to do in the cold is draw attention away from the fingers into keeping the core alive. So keeping gloves and keeping this and like a beanie in there, it's just a good way of keeping yourself warm if you have to walk out for help. Now, I wouldn't recommend ever really going too far away from your vehicle in the extreme cold or anything like that. For the most part, people are going to be able to find you, and if you have a cell phone or a ham radio, it's likely that you're going to be able to get in touch with somebody that way. It's likely that someone will be driving by you and see you, and if you walk away from your vehicle, they're going to see your vehicle, they're not going to see you, and you can get lost, you can get hypothermia. It's pretty bad. So you want to stay with your vehicle, but you still do want to stay warm with gloves and just warm apparel for surviving in a cold condition. So because of the nature of my vehicle, kind of my setup here, more of the overland side of things, I keep a lot of this stuff in my drawers. I would keep some tools. Now this is just a very minimal little set here. I believe it is SAE and standard, but I would at least keep something like this in there. I think I got this at Ace Hardware, but I'll put a link below to some other ones, Allen wrenches, stuff like that. Definitely would recommend keeping duct tape in there. So I got this like pretty thin one, so it's a little bit more packable, but you can really build out your emergency kit very easily. Snacks, water, tools, any kind of tools you feel like you could fit in there that are not going to be a big burden. A window brake would be a really good one as well. I have a knife up front that has a window brake, so I keep that up in the front. So another one that I will recommend to you guys that is not so much for safety or anything like that, it's really for comfort. It is a remote start. Now again, this is just something that is a little bit more for comfort because, let's say a few weeks ago here it was about -3 degrees where I live, and getting into my car, waiting for the heater to heat up, it's just a huge pain when you're driving off. I installed an aftermarket one, so basically I can turn on my vehicle and let the heat run. I think it runs for about 15 minutes before it shuts off, or you can run it for about 5 minutes, get in your car, turn it on. And the thing I really like about the one I went with, which is the Start X, first of all, it is on Amazon, so you have that nice little return policy there. Second of all, a lot of these had you remote start, and the second you get in the vehicle, you have to turn it off and then start it by basically pressing on the brake. Well, I didn't really like that because it's just putting unnecessary strain on the starter. So with mine, I can turn it on, have it start, and then I just turn it to the on position, and I can just take off. There's no real starting, stopping. It's just on, running, the heat's on, and I can take off. I will drop a link below to that. That is on Amazon, so it is nice. If you don't love it, you can return it. The install didn't take that long. I will have a whole video on that pretty soon. So guys, I had to come inside because the wind was getting a little bit too bad. The last thing that I am going to recommend to you guys is keeping, whenever possible, a full tank of gas. Now, whenever I'm driving really anywhere in the winter, I try my best to keep it above half of a tank. Now, that's just pretty much a standard across the board. If it is going to be snowing where I'm at, or it's going to be snowing where I'm going, then I will try my best to keep it at a full tank of gas. We've seen a lot of situations where people get stuck on the side of the road. They're running their heat, trying to stay warm and stay alive. And, if your tank is at like a quarter of a tank or lower, you really don't have that much time. So it's best to try to keep your gas tank completely full whenever possible. But that being said, guys, I want to thank you guys for checking out this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.